If you're looking for highly customizable Hunter WeakAuras for Wrath of the Lich King Classic, well, you're watching the right video. I'll be showing you how to install and properly customize them to your liking. We have a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. Alright, so let's begin with the installation. Before we do anything, I recommend that you delete the previous version of the WeakAuras that you were using. This will ensure that we get a clean new install, which will limit the risk of possible issues. You'll only have to do this process once, since in the future, you'll simply have to update them as needed. Let's head over to luxthos.com in order to copy the import code. The link is provided in the description down below. Simply scroll down on the page, click the button to copy the code, and head back to World of Warcraft. Once you're in-game, make sure to open up the WeakAuras panel by typing /WA in the chat window. Click Import, paste the code, and you're done. One thing to keep in mind is that the name of the actual groups are very important. You need to make sure you do not rename any of them. Also, make sure you do not have any duplicates. If you have multiple copies of the same WeakAuras, the added number to the group name will cause you some issues. The last thing on our list before we move on to the customization is to make sure we activate the action bar cooldown number in the interface options. Without this, if you're using the default UI, you simply won't see any number on your auras. If you want to change the look and behavior of those numbers, you can use an add-on like OmniCC or something more complex like ElvUI. It is important to notice that both these add-ons will replace the default number, so make sure you don't have both options active at the same time or you'll be seeing some overlaps. Alright, so we're going to move on to customization, and we're going to start with placement and sizing. Because I'm using a 1440p resolution and a 100% UI scale, you might be seeing something different on your end. The WeakAuras might be bigger or smaller, and I'm going to show you how to customize and change that. First, we're going to open up the WeakAuras panel /WA. We're going to go ahead and click on the Hunter group right here, and we're going to click on the group tab. You can see here the group scale slider, so you can simply move that to resize it down or size it back up. You also have access to the X offset, which is going to allow you to off-center it if you want it left or right. That's going to be a possibility. And then you can also change the Y offset. So if you wanted to move down or up, that's going to be possible as well. So if you have a different UI, different resolution, different scale, you're going to be able to customize the WeakAuras to look and be placed exactly like you want to. All right, so now I want to go over the groups, their utility, and how to organize the information within them. So a lot of things have changed over the past. So whether you've been using the Burning Crusade WeakAuras, the Shadowland one, or even the Battle for Azeroth WeakAuras, things in the past used to be a little bit more static. So the icon had fixed positioning, and you weren't really able to move anything without causing some issue. And I wanted to change from that. So I wanted to make something that was a little bit more easy, a little bit easier to customize, and something that was a little bit more free-flowing. And for this, we have a bunch of group now that contains all of this awesome information, and I want to go over it and explain to you what everything does and how it works. So we're going to first start with the most important group in the middle of all of this, the core. So the core group is situated right here. And as you can see, this group contains every single rotational ability, all of your cooldowns, everything that's pretty major and class defining is going to be in this group. And as you can see, there's something happening here. So the first bar up top contains 8 icons. This is what I call the main bar, and then underneath is going to be the overflow. So this is going to be the secondary bar. So what's happening here is after 8 icons here, after 8 auras, it pushes everything else underneath right here. So that means that everything is also placed according to its order inside the main core group right here. So inside this group, inside of here, you're going to see all of the icons go down, and they're going to position themselves based on wherever you put them, pretty much. So that means that, for example, if I would like my Chimera shot to show up maybe after my Arcane and Aim shot over here. So we're going to move it down. And as you can see, it simply moves down to a lower position. So it's that easy now to customize this. If you want to make things line up a little bit better with your keybinds, that's going to be quite simple. You can also move these icons lower if you want to. So if you would like one of your major cooldown to move up and go more into the main rotational core, you can do that by simply clicking, dragging, and dropping, and you'll be good to go. So this group is pretty awesome. You're going to be able to modify everything and customize everything to your liking. So anchored to this group and connected to it are a bunch of other group right here. So you're going to have the dynamics, which is what we're going to cover next. So we're going to see here dynamic effects and dynamic spells. Those are going to be situated here on the top left and here on the top right. So we're going to start with dynamic effects here. Dynamic effects will contain procs, buff, debuff, and even tier set bonuses. So all of that good stuff is going to be in here. It's mostly going to be short duration buff that are going to last a couple seconds, and all of it is going to show up right here. It's going to disappear as soon as it goes away, and it's going to make it a nice little place for you to track. It goes from the left side and grows inward towards the middle of the WeakAuras, but you're going to be able to customize that as well. They also follow the order in which position they're put in. So if you want things to appear before or after a certain icon, you're free to do that. Sitting on the other side here, we have the dynamic spells. So you have this group right here, which contains what I call the overflow. So a little bit of ability. Hunter has a lot of abilities, and they don't all fit into the core. There's too many things, especially with the pet's abilities and all of that. So we needed somewhere else to put some important abilities, but that are displayed a little bit in a different way to not make things too crowded. So all of these ability here are going to be showing when they are on cooldown, pretty much. So whenever you hit one of these ability, it will show up here, it will clock its cooldown, and then it will simply disappear. So for example, if we go over and find one of these ability, like Flare, for example, and we use it, you're going to see that Flare is being triggered here, and it's going to show up as on cooldown, and then as soon as it's gone, it's simply going to disappear. This is something also that you can customize. So if you would like Flare or any of these other ability to be part of your main rotation, well, all you have to do is click and drag. You can put this ability wherever you want into the core. The only thing you have to change is the trigger here for the cooldown of the ability. Instead of only showing on cooldown for the first trigger here, you're going to simply click and choose always. And then when I close, you can see that Flare is now living as part of the main core group right here. We're going to move it back to its original position here. We're going to move it back here, and we're going to change this back to on cooldown. There we go. So that's going to be dynamic spells. We're going to move on to left side and right side here for the Hunter. These groups are empty at the moment. So as you can see, there's nothing in these groups, and they pretty much don't do anything right now. But these are going to be available to you if you want to change the layout and a little bit of the design. So back in Battle for Azeroth and Shadowland, for example, if you've used those previous WeakAuras, I don't think this is something that was as used, I think, in Burning Crusade. But in previous expansion on retails, you could see some cooldown, especially your major cooldown ability would sit on the left side, and the interrupt and the stuns would sit on the right side of the WeakAuras. Well, if that's something that you enjoyed and you thought that the information was easy to read this way, well, you can now do that. So let's say that we go into the core and we want one of our major cooldown here. Let's go for rapid fire here and readiness. We're going to go ahead and select them right here, and we're going to move them into the left group, left side right here. We're going to close the WeakAura. We're going to do a quick /reload to allow everything to position itself. And as you can see, we now have these cooldowns on this side of the WeakAuras. So if you want this, if it's something that helps you notice maybe the cooldowns a little bit better, sometimes a little bit of separation of the information can help, well, that's something you're able to do. I'm going to go ahead and move these back down to their position. Here we go. So that's going to be the same thing for the right side. You decide what you want to put in there. If you want to put all your pet's abilities maybe in one of these, you could do that. It's up to you, realistically here. We already went over the core group, so we're now going to go over to the maintenance group. So maintenance is going to be sitting at the bottom here. At the bottom, it's clipping right now with the action bar, but it's going to be sitting below the secondary bar here. And this is going to contain maintenance icons, maintenance auras. So Hunter's Mark is going to be here, your aspects, your aura, and even a buff called Sniper Training, which is pretty much here all the time. So I wanted to put it a little bit away. It's still an important information to show for some people, but it's going to be in the maintenance section here. So that's going to be quite nice, and you're going to be able to change the behavior of how those icons are showing up, whether they're applied or they're missing, or if you want to see them at all time. So you're going to have full customization of that when we get into a later section of the video. The last remaining group is going to be resources. So for Hunter, you're going to see that it's going to contain these little bars over here. So you're going to have the health bar, the mana bar, and the pet health bar. So we do have health bar now. So this is something that's new from pretty much every previous WeakAuras. It wasn't implemented by default. It is still set to never load by default. So the WeakAuras, when you load them up, you're not going to see the health bar. But if it's something that you would like to see, well, simply click on it, health bar Hunter, go into the load tab, and uncheck never. There we go. And then you can go back here. You can do a quick /reload, and it's going to show up. It's going to be right here in your group, and you're going to be able to have your own health bar for your Hunter. You're going to be able to track that a little bit better if that's something that you want to do. So we're going to go back and reset this to default. There we go. You're going to have your mana, obviously, and you're going to have your pet health bar. So this is going to display some information. It's going to change color, and you're going to be able to customize it as well, depending on how is your little companion doing. So this thing here sits in the core in the space here. That's going to be able to be customizable as well. So that's going to be quite nice. So now that you know what every single group does and how to organize the information and what's their utility, we're going to be able to move on to the customization of the custom options. All right, so we're now going to be talking about the custom options for the Hunter WeakAuras. So this is going to be a pretty in-depth segment, and there's a lot of things to cover, but it should be quite fun. There's a lot of cool thing happening here. So if you click on the Luxthos Hunter group here, and you go into the custom option tabs over here, you'll see a pretty big list of things that you can change and customize. And I'm going to go over through every single one of them, explain you how to change it, how to customize things. And we're pretty much going to build a brand new design together for fun. All right. So before we get started with this, I want to explain to you where everything is coming from. There's 3 sources of options. There's going to be general options here that is going to contain general option for the WeakAuras. So this is something that can be copied and pasted over to other class or even shared with your friends. Because it's global, I should say more general, because it's not global. You need to have one for each class, but it is going to be general. They all have the same styling for every single class, and it's going to be pretty easy to share and copy paste to other people. There's also going to be the class option, which is going to be where you're going to find the health, the mana bar, and the pet health bar, which could be colored theme to your class or all of that good stuff. So this is going to be where, some things like this is not going to show up for Rogue, for example. So that's why all of these informations are being listed here. And then the third source of custom option is going to be on the maintenance group here in the custom option tab here, if you click here. And this is going to be the behavior of the actual maintenance icon. This is a little bit overwhelming. They're all over the place. But luckily, if you just click the Luxthos Hunter group, go back here, they're all going to be listed for you. So you're not going to have to manually click to any of them and possibly maybe be afraid of messing up. They're all going to be here. You're going to be good to go. Just click on the global group, custom option, and you're good to go. You don't even need to open this thing. You can just leave it like this and do whatever you want. We're going to start up with the global styles. So like I said, we're going to go through these and we're going to build ourselves a brand new design just for fun, right? We're going to start off with the first one here, border size. So this is a pretty heavily requested feature. So you can now apply border to every single element. So if you want to apply the border the border to all of your elements. So your primary icon, your resources, everything gets the border here. As you can see, we're going to leave it at 2. I think it looks pretty good. I think it's a nice look. We can change the border color as well if we want it to be something different. I would assume most people will leave it like this on a darker color, but if you want, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You could go and, I don't know, get like some Hunter green in here, or it doesn't look that great, but you can play around with this and achieve whatever look your heart desire. You could also simply not apply a border to the resources if that's something that you want for your specific design. We're going to leave it on for now. And we're also going to show you the icon zoom here. So the icon zoom is simply to get rid of the 3D border that is around all of the World of Warcraft default icon. So if you're using something to replace the icon, you might want to reduce this if you're replacing the icon somehow in your interface folder. But if you're using default icon, then what I do is I simply apply a 30% zoom and it gets rid of this 3D border. So it makes it have a nice clean look. We're going to go back to 2 for the border here, and we're going to move on to the next category. So we're going to have main icons over here. So that's going to be the main row here. So this is going to be the top row over the resources. You're going to be able to change the width of these icons. So if you want to get something cool looking, if you want to, I don't know, be fancy and like have some kind of new style with like kind of little like thin rectangle or whatever, that's a possibility. So that's going to be pretty cool if you want. We're going to leave it at 48 for now, which is the default value. But instead, we're going to go for more of a little slender, like square look like this. This looks kind of nice. We're going to go for this style right here. We're going to crop it like this. And we're also going to reduce the spacing. So that's another possibility. So this is the space between every single icon in that main row, but it also affects the resources bar. So because they're so close to it and they're so intertwined, they pretty much have the same spacing between all of them here. So it's controlled by one slider. We're going to leave it at 1, which is down from the default, So it's going to be a little bit closer. It's going to look nice. We're going to leave it at that. And now on to my favorite option here, the number of icons. So this allows you to control that main top row bar and have as many icons as you want on it, between 4 and 10. So we had to put some limits here in order to not break anything. But pretty much by default, you get 8, which is very important to note that the design has been thought around having 8 icon, right? So all the design ideas are made with 8 icons in mind. So if you change it, there might be some unexpected results. Like, for example, having important abilities fall onto the second line instead of being in the top row over here, right? So whenever you modify anything, also make sure that you do a quick reload for all of these things, if you want to make sure that you get everything in order. So pretty much that's what we're going to do here. You're going to be able to change this. We're going to leave it at 8. I think 8 is a pretty good value, right? So we're going to leave it at that. And we're going to move on to the next category here. All right, so we're going to go ahead and modify the secondary icon. So that's going to be the second row here underneath the resources right here. Same value. You can modify the width, the height, and even the spacing. So we're going to squeeze down the height a little bit just to give it that similar look that we went for with the rectangle look. We're going to reduce the spacing to 1, down from 3. And that's going to give it a little bit more of a cool, clean, little minimalistic look over here. We're going to move on to dynamic icons here. Same thing, same process. Width, height. We're going to reduce this a little bit. Again, this is all suggestion. You don't have to follow any of this. I'm just showing you what the options do and what you can kind of customize and play around with here. So the dynamic icon is going to be this section over here, which includes the dynamic effects and the dynamic spells over here. So the left and right category. So we can choose how to customize these. We're going to go right here for now to give them this nice look. We're going to reduce the spacing to 1, again, for the design that we're going for at the moment. And then we have the bottom margin here. The bottom margin is simply going to be how close you want it to be to the rest of the group, or how far away you want it to be. A little bit of breathing room is always nice to allow you to read the information a little bit more easily. You can also choose to swap the location of these groups. So for example, right now the effects is on the left, the spell is on the right, but if you want, you can swap that. So now all of your temporary cooldown ability are going to show up here, and all the debuff and buff are going to show up on the other side, if that's something that you prefer. You can also choose to align them from center. So instead of starting outward towards the edge and growing towards the middle, it's going to reverse it. They're all going to start from the middle and grow outward. And then you can even swap while they're aligned from the center. So you got full customization here on the look and the positioning of the dynamic icons. For the side icons here, same principle. We got width, height. We're going to lower this a little bit here. There we go. We're going to lower that down. We're going to reduce the spacing to 1. And we're going to leave the side margin. So nothing is moving here. Side icons is actually the empty group here. So we didn't even need to modify this actually, but this is if you ever put any icons in the left and right side, you're going to want to have this style as well to look pretty much exactly how everything else is looking on your WeakAuras. So right now you don't need to touch this if you don't have any of the icons in here, but if you do, it is there for you to modify that. For the maintenance icon, we have the same design. So width, height, we can lower this down a little bit. We can change the spacing. So again, the maintenance is the little icons at the bottom here for your buff and your maintenance abilities for the Hunter. And so once the height has been modified for us here, we got the spacing, we got the margin, so the breathing room at the top so that you can space it down from the rest of the WeakAuras. So that's going to be quite nice. And then the most important part of this is going to be the behavior. So if you want to change the behavior of those buff, if they're applied or missing or all that stuff, it's going to be right here. So you got True Shot Aura. So that's going to show up if it's missing. So if it's not here, it will show up as a little icon, right? Aspect. So if it's missing, again, your aspects are going to be showing up. But if you want, you could always show it so that you know which aspect you're in, right? Hunter's mark is going to show up as if applied. That way it's going to be a little bit less annoying. It's only going to show up if it's here. And as you can see right now, nothing is showing up because I'm in a rested area. I'm still going to give it a little /reload, and I'm going to head to the target dummy here. So while you're in a rested area, nothing is going to show up unless you get in combat, right? So as you can see, it's showing that I have my aspect of the Dragon Hawk active. If I remove True Shot Aura, it's also going to show me that I'm missing True Shot Aura. So this is going to show up if I leave a rested area or if I enter combat. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty nice. You can fully customize that. So we're going to go back in here. There you go. And we're going to reset this to show if missing. So this is the default behavior. Feel free to customize this if you want to see anything else for your maintenance icons. For the resources now, pretty straightforward. This is going to be the global styling of the resources. Nothing specific like these down at the bottom. This is going to be more global. So this is going to give you the positioning of the resources if you want it to be below the primary bar or above it. So if you want it to be above, it's going to look like this, which is pretty cool. It's going to be above those action bar right here, which is a nice little look. But for now, for this demo purposes, we're going to keep it below over here. You can change the height of those resources bars. So for example, right now, the height 1 is going to be used for health, mana, energy, rage. So in the case of Hunter, it's going to be health and mana. Resources 2 is going to be used for runes and combo, which we don't have for Hunter. And resources 3 is going to be used for pet health bar and cooldowns, which we do have a pet health bar. So we can modify this if we want to have a larger health bar, larger mana bar. So that's going to be a possibility if we want to do that. There we go. We're going to leave it. We're going to leave it to default here. We're going to leave it at 20. For these resources here, you can actually also swap in each individual category which height they're using. So this is simply done to save you time when you modify these because I like to have things looking consistent across all of these values. So that's why they're preset like that. For the out of combat alpha, so this is a pretty cool settings. So while you're out of combat right here, you can see that the WeakAuras are always showing up. But if you would like to reduce the alpha of it, this is where you would do it. So let's say that I put it down to 50%, then it's simply going to do this. I could put it all the way down to 0. They're going to disappear. And as soon as I enter combat, this is going to be overwritten. Or I have the option to also ignore an enemy target and ignore unfriendly target. So this means that as soon as I target a dummy or even a friendly target, like my pet, the WeakAuras will show up, right? So this is useful for if you want to hide your weak ores, but you want to make sure it shows up again whenever you target something. That's going to be quite nice. We're going to leave it at 100% alpha. And we're going to move on to the next category here, the health bar. This is going to be very simple. You have access to the height, like I explained earlier in the resources section. You can choose if you want height 1, 2, or 3. Right now it's default to 1. You can choose the text formatting for your health bar. So you can have the full value, formatted value, full value and percentage, or for formatted value and percentage, or simply have it be the percentage showing up. So you have custom options for that. You can change the color of the health bar. So right now it's using a slight little dark green to light green gradient. If you want, you can remove that gradient and only use the first color. You can fully customize this to look however you want. You can pick a completely different color and do whatever you want here. So you have full control over this. Same thing for the mana bar, height, text formatting, and the color. Remove all of the gradient if you want to. Very straightforward. And then we have the pet health bar. So the way this is going to work is you're going to have the height, again, for that resources. So it's going to use the smallest one here. And then you're going to have the colors. So if your pet is in good shape, it's going to go at 90% health. So it's going to be like slightly gray just to reduce the visual noise. Actually, let's come here, increase height 3 to 10, just so we can see it a little bit better for this design because of the border, which I suggest you do if you add border. Then if it's over 60%, so it's been damaged a little bit, it's going to show us green just to let you know. And then it's going to keep going for warmer color, so orange, and then red if he's in danger. So you can customize all of this, get any colors you want in there, and you're going to be good to go. So we're left with a pretty cool, unique design, right? It doesn't look anything like the original default design we had earlier. And the really, really cool thing about this is that you can share this design. So you can share it with your friend, or you can upload it online, or you can get a design from somebody else as well. And that's what's pretty cool about it. So let's say that you wanted to share this design with your own other classes. You could copy the custom configuration here. So you're going to right click on General Options, Copy Settings, Custom Configuration. And then you can go to your other class. Let's say you play a Death Knight here, and you can paste that onto the Death Knight layer here. If you wanted to share these options or get them from somebody else, the way to do it would be you can simply export them here. So right-click Export. You get this code, which somebody could share with you. Then you would click Import here, paste this. There you go. And then you get a second layer here at the top, right? We're going to go ahead and come back to this one here, and we're going to reset it. So this is our layer, our general options for our WeakAuras here in the Hunter group. We're going to reset as default, right? And we're going to do the same thing for these. They're good. Everything is good. And then if we close this, you'll see that the WeakAuras are back to normal. They're back to the default design. So if you ever mess anything up, you always have the reset button. But then if we want to, we can go to the general option, copy settings, and you're going to see that the option is missing. So this is an issue that happens every time you import this layer. You're going to do a quick /reload to fix it. There you go. And then you're going to right click this, copy custom configuration. You're going to go here. You're going to paste this. We're going to look and see that everything works. So the design that we just made together is now exportable, shareable, and you can do whatever you want with that. Make sure you delete this if you ever import somebody else's design so you don't cause any error. Never leave duplicate like that outside of the groups right here. So there we go. We got the new design. It's exported. It's been shared. It's awesome. We love it. And you can go here and modify everything, do whatever you want, or you can simply go here and click reset to default, and we are back to the default WeakAuras look. So that's going to be quite nice. You're going to have full customization, and you're going to be able to share it with your friends or get designs as well online if you want to. One last thing that I want to share here is how to change the font. So depending on what design you made, you might want to change the font to fit the style of that new design, right? And there's 3 values here that you can change, and they're going to be changed in different ways, right? So the first value is going to be the number that is situated in the middle of the actual buttons here. This one is going to be exactly the same as the action bar. So this is the same font. It is the same setting, and it's pulled directly from the World of Warcraft action bar number. That's why when you go into the interface here and you go here and you remove cooldown number, it disappears from here, but also from the WeakAuras, right? They're linked together. So to modify that number, there's two ways to do it. It's not done through the WeakAuras, but it can be done through an add-on. So something like OmniCC or something more complex like LVI, like I've explained in the installation process, can change the look and behavior of those numbers. So if you load up any of those add-on, OmniCC, LVI, I think there's other add-ons out there that can do a similar change to the look and design and font of those numbers. So feel free to look at these and change the font to your needs and design for your design for your WeakAuras, right? Sorry, I was kind of having problem here. So you're going to be able to change that. So that's going to be straightforward, right? And then the other number that you can change is going to be a little bit hidden. So some auras will have this, not every single one will. So if you click on the core group, for example, and you go into display here, scroll down, and you'll see this little layer here called text 1. And then if you mouse over it, it will show kill command, for example. That means that in this group, there's only one layer that has the little number here. You can find this in other areas like effects, for example. These are often going to have this extra little value here. So if you go down, you're going to see text 1. You're going to mouse over. Lock and load, for example, has it. So if I click on lock and load and I go here into the display, I'll find the text 1 here, right there. So it's going to be right here. I'm going to have the color and the font and the size. So if you want, you can click this. Go to display, change the font right here. You're going to need to do this to every single instance that you find this little extra one. This is usually used for stacks. So any ability that can have 1 or 2 stacks of it, you're going to want to change the information for this here. You're going to be able to change the font, right? And then the last area that you'll be able to change it, the font that you're going to need to change the font is going to be in the resources. So the health bar and the mana bar for Hunter are both going to have a font in there. There you go. You can click here. You can change the font. Obviously, you can load additional font from add-ons like shared media or even LVI, or I know there's a bunch of other add-ons that have extra font loaded, or you can load your own font directly into the WoW folder, and you can load this up in here, and you can change to whatever your heart desire. You're going to need to do the same thing for the mana bar, and you're going to be good to go. So if you follow these steps, you're going to be able to change the font of the number, the little stack number on top of the icons, and also you're going to be able to change it into your mana and resources bar. So you're going to be good to go. You're going to have the design that you want, and everything is going to be customized to your liking. All right, well, that's it for this video. I cannot believe you made it all the way to the end. If you would like to support in any way, shape, or form, make sure to like this video. I know everybody says this, but it's true. Like the video, subscribe to my channel if you want to on YouTube, and come see me on Twitch. I stream every single day on Twitch. I play World of Warcraft, I play variety games, we make WeakAuras, we have a good time. Join us, come throw me a follow, just say hi. I'll be really happy. But in the meantime, I'll see you all in World of Warcraft.